People like you don't belong here, said Sarah, a 25-year-old waitress at an upscale restaurant, her words dripping with prejudice. She had no idea the man she was turning away, simply because of his skin color, was far more than just a customer. Her ignorance would soon lead to a shocking revelation that would turn her world upside down. If you're new here, be sure to subscribe so you never miss our powerful stories of humanity and transformation. Sarah prided herself on working at an elite restaurant, a place where the wealthy came to dine in exclusivity. The clientele was familiar, and she found comfort in her routine, believing herself superior within this bubble of luxury. But her hidden prejudices lurked beneath her polished surface. On this particular evening, a well-dressed man entered the restaurant. His demeanor was calm, but his dark skin irritated Sarah, who immediately judged him as someone who didn't fit in. "Do you have a reservation?" she asked curtly. The man smiled kindly, replying, "No, I was hoping to get a table." Without hesitation, Sarah responded with venom, "People like you aren't welcome here." The man's expression changed slightly, and without another word, he left. Sarah felt a twisted sense of satisfaction, though deep down, she knew she'd crossed a line. Later that night, Sarah boasted about her actions to her co-workers. While they didn't openly support her racist remark, none spoke out against her. Only a young waitress, Emma, seemed troubled. "Don't you think that was a little harsh?" she asked. But Sarah dismissed her concerns, confident in her belief that the man didn't belong there. What Sarah didn't realize was that her actions were already setting off a chain of events. The next morning, tension filled the restaurant. Managers whispered urgently, and the restaurant's owner, Mr. Carter, arrived unexpectedly with a man Sarah didn't recognize. As the staff gathered, the manager, Christine, made a grim announcement. "There's been an incident. A guest was turned away last night, and it's more serious than we thought. The man you dismissed, Sarah, is Ethan Williams," Christine revealed. Sarah blinked in confusion. "Who?" she asked. "Ethan Williams," Christine repeated. "He owns this building, and most of this block." Sarah's heart sank. The man she'd insulted, dismissed like he was beneath her, was one of the most powerful people in the city. Her arrogance had blinded her to the truth of his status. "How was I supposed to know?" she stammered. "That's not the point," Christine said sharply. "You can't treat people like that. Period." The staff stood in stunned silence, realizing the gravity of the situation. Sarah's actions had put the restaurant's future at risk, as Ethan Williams now reconsidered their lease. Her prejudice had led to a crisis that could cost everyone dearly. Sarah had been reckless, and now her actions were affecting everyone at the restaurant. Christine, her manager, pulled her aside. Sarah had worked here for 3 years and had managed to avoid any major issues until now. "You need to understand the seriousness of this," Christine said firmly. "We could lose everything because of what you did." Sarah, flushed with embarrassment, tried to defend herself. "I didn't know he was important." "That doesn't matter," Christine snapped. "What matters is that you disrespected someone based on their race, and now we're all paying the price." Meanwhile, the restaurant's higher-ups gathered in a private room. The owner, Mr. Carter, addressed the staff, his expression grim. "Ethan Williams, the man Sarah insulted, is a respected and influential figure in the city. We cannot afford to lose his favor." The staff remained tense as they discussed their options. Apologies were necessary, but more than that, they needed to show real change. By midday, a message arrived from Ethan Williams. Sarah was called into Christine's office, where she was informed of the news. "He's not taking legal action," Christine said, relieved, "but he wants to meet you personally." Sarah's stomach churned. The idea of facing the man she had insulted terrified her. The next day, Sarah arrived at Ethan Williams' office, feeling overwhelmed. She was directed to a conference room where he sat, calm and dignified, exactly as she remembered. Her hands were clammy, and she struggled to keep her composure. "Have a seat," Ethan said, his voice kind but authoritative. Sarah sat, feeling small under his steady gaze. He began speaking calmly. "I didn't come to your restaurant to demand special treatment or throw my weight around. I came as a regular customer, like anyone else." Sarah fumbled for words. I'm sorry," she stammered, but Ethan held up a hand. "I'm not here for an apology. I'm here to offer you something else, a lesson." Sarah blinked, confused. Ethan continued. "Throughout my life, I've encountered people like you, people who judged me because of my skin color. But I didn't let that stop me. I rose above it and built something greater." His words hit her harder than she expected. He wasn't lecturing her. He was teaching her about grace and resilience. "You said that people like me aren't welcome in your restaurant," Ethan said softly. "Do you really believe that?" I don't know why I said that," Sarah whispered, her voice trembling. Ethan nodded. "It's not just about what you said. It's about the mindset behind it, the way you see people." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes as she realized how deeply ingrained her prejudices were. She had never been forced to confront them, until now. Sarah felt a wave of shame wash over her. Titus, his tone softer now, looked at her with compassion. "I don't want to ruin your life or see you lose your job," he said. "But I do want you to understand the weight of your actions. This isn't just about turning away a customer. It's about denying someone their humanity. That's something that needs to change." Tears welled up in Sarah's eyes. "How do I fix this?" she asked, her voice trembling. Titus leaned forward. "You start by learning, by opening your heart and mind to the experiences of others. You need to see people for who they are, not just for what they look like." Sarah nodded, feeling a strange mixture of relief and sadness. Titus, a man who could have sought revenge, was instead offering her a chance to learn and grow. "I want to help you," Titus continued, "but that help comes with a condition. You need to be willing to truly change." "I want to change," Sarah replied, her voice shaking. Titus smiled slightly. "Good, because this world needs more understanding, less hate, and it starts with people like you and me." Sarah left the meeting feeling emotionally drained. She had expected the worst: lawsuits, public humiliation, losing her job. Instead, Titus had given her something unexpected: compassion. But the weight of what she had done still lingered. When Sarah returned to the restaurant, Christine was waiting for her. The tension was palpable. "So, how did it go?" Christine asked, arms folded. Sarah swallowed hard. He wasn't angry. He just wanted to talk. He wanted to teach me a lesson about what I did. Christine raised an eyebrow. "A lesson?" "He's not going to take legal action," Sarah continued, "but he made it clear that we all need to change." Christine let out a sigh of relief, but her expression remained serious. "That's good to hear, but don't think for a second that you're off the hook." Sarah's heart sank. "We've had to do a lot of damage control. The story got out, and local papers have picked it up. We're getting calls, and Mr. Carter is furious." Sarah winced. She had never faced this kind of scrutiny before, and the reality of her actions began to sink in. "We can't have you working on the floor for now," Christine said. "You'll be reassigned to the kitchen while we figure out how to move forward. And if things escalate further, we may have to let you go." Sarah nodded, the full weight of her mistakes pressing down on her. She knew there would still be consequences, but she also remembered Titus's words. This was her chance to change, to become a better person. "I understand," Sarah said quietly. "I'll do whatever it takes to make things right." Christine gave her a long look before nodding. "I hope you mean that. This isn't just about you anymore. It's about all of us." As Sarah entered the kitchen, her heart felt heavy. The loud clattering of pots and the sizzling of food greeted her, a stark contrast to the elegant dining area she was used to. The kitchen was chaotic, fast-paced, and overwhelming. One of the cooks, wiping his hands on his apron, called out, "Hey, Sarah, heard you've been reassigned." She forced a small smile. "Yeah, for now." "Welcome to the back of the house," he said, his tone neutral. "It's different here.